Thank you for coming to today's webinar about how you can source in thomasnet.com and leverage our industrial buying engine to help you procure from new vendors and buy any products and services you need today from North American top suppliers. To start, I would just say slight apology. I'm actually in New York City today, and if you hear a lot of screaming random strangers and siren, I can't control that. However, what I can control is, like I said, if you just joined, in the chat today, you see our colleague, Brittany Hannaberry. She has already shared a link to the presentation, so you can follow along. A bit paradoxical, but if you have trouble hearing audio, feel free to search for your GoToWebinar email and dial in using your cell phone for audio control. And we'll make sure to circulate a copy of the presentation and a recording for all the resources mentioned. Last but not least, if you find that this presentation is helpful for your organization and that you work in a big procurement or sourcing part of your company, feel free to finish the end of the webinar survey. Drop me a line in that survey and let me know, because Brittany and I can also digitally come into your office and repeat the presentation, but customize it for your business if you need to do so. A bit about me. I'm based in New York. My accent's a little bit weird. Born and raised in Hong Kong, but kind of grew up in London. I have been at Supplier for about 4 years now, and my main duty is to really educate our user community about all the cool features, free data, democratizing all the reporting to help you do your job better. On my call, I also have my colleague Brittany Hannaberry. She's our technical editor and producer of today's webinar. Brittany, you want to say hi?
Hi, everyone. Like Kathy said, I'm Brittany Hannaberry. I'm a technical editor here at Thomas. My job mostly revolves around producing content, sending out emails, not only to help you take best advantage of our platform, but also just to help you in general with your job across a variety of industries. So, yeah.
Right. And yeah, you know what is interesting? While Brittany's talking, PowerPoint just quit on me. So I'm going to reload the deck. I was saying to Brittany, today has been really kind of interesting when it comes to tech. Okay, so let's continue. You may have heard of Thomas. We've been around since 1898, so close to 124 years of history. We started in New York State, but we are very active in Canada and the USA, and recently we've been bought by Supplier, which is one of the world's largest digital manufacturing platform that can connect you with any custom manufacturers and give you real-time lead time quote and design feedback for your projects. Now, you are here today because you want to discover the power of thomasnet.com. We work across all industry, all the way from aerospace and defense to textile and apparel. And we have a lot of industrial buying professionals as well as engineers using us on a daily basis to find new vendors, new services, and new products. And a little bit about our taxonomy. You'll hear me mention this word a lot. We do cover 570,000 US and Canadian suppliers across 76,000 categories. You may say, Kath, that's a lot of numbers. What do you mean by that? It means that imagine we are almost like a library of international US, Canadian suppliers, and you can come over to our platform, search for anything, which I'll do demonstration in a bit. And you can search across important headings such as chemicals like adhesive and sealant, electronic parts. We're seeing tremendous amount of electronic sourcing activities due to a lot of reshoring activities lately, as well as services like, you know, and cycle testing, non-destructive testing, all the ways to materials handling, but also circling back to you sourcing for raw materials for what you need. We cover almost everything. And it's very rare that someone come to me and say they need to look for something on Thomas and we couldn't find any vendors for them. So, and throughout this presentation, we're going to be quite interactive. I like to actually really go through 3 things about precisely how you can leave this webinar today, learn all the advanced filter you can use to search across our supplies in the most efficient way. I will share with you important free firmographic information where you can filter users by the diversity statuses or the manufacturing capability, all within a few clicks. And finally, how you can buy directly from these manufacturers through our industrial buying engine, and also get 21 days transaction assurance, as well as our new credit system where you can get up to 30 days of 0 interest credit for up to $50,000 for the small businesses out there. We're very proud of launching that feature. But enough about us for just a quick second. I'm going to cue in a poll. And in the poll, I'm going to ask you a quick question about how you actually plan to use Thomas today so we can get acquainted with one another. And hello, Ted. Nice to meet you too. And Raymond. Yes. And I love that while we are doing the poll, basically, Raymond already kind of jumped right ahead. Yes, do tell me while I'm speaking using your chat, what are you using Thomas for? If you're looking for example, special chemicals, vendors that can do certain services, I am actually in real time going to use your case as a use case to present this presentation, to go through this presentation. Great, let me close the poll in 2 minutes. We got about 44% voted. Yes, guys, if you see a pop-up, just let me know how you plan to use Thomas today, and I will actually in real time customize the presentation based on your finding. Just 2 more seconds so that we get over 60% of our folks polled. Perfect, and you can choose multiple answers. Great, so for our group today, we have over 100 signups, 300 participants signing up to this webinar. And the most important use case is to discover new vendors using Thomas. And then is to find new products, parts, and services. Then is to identify new sales leads. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And also turning ideas into reality. And for those of you, if you feel like your use case is not covered here, please add it to the chat because I get all the answers after the presentation anyway. So next, again, apologize for the sirens. Don't know if you guys can hear it. Let's jump right in. I'm going to actually talk about the 3 parts, how you can search, evaluate, and buy directly from thomasnet.com. I'm going to swing now directly to our search browser. So a lot of you might have actually already used Thomas because that's how you signed up and got invited into this webinar. But I'm actually going to use an example here by Raymond. I'm going to search for disposable cups. Yes. So when you use Thomas, it is as simple as any search engine. You know, when you go to Yelp for a restaurant or Airbnb for location-based rental. The cool thing about our data is we're full of structured data on the left. Maybe you will say, Kath, I think I'm interested in disposable cup supplier, but I'm also interested in how Thomas classified our supplier list. And within this search result, the first thing you can look at is all the related categories. So you can get a sense of all the options and related kind of topics so that if you're new to a spend category, you can also take the time to browse and learn, almost like writing on Wikipedia's knowledge equivalent of Thomas, to understand the sector and available products a little bit better. So let me just pop in and start with disposable cups again. Yes, so I was actually queuing up and explaining that it's super easy to look for disposable cups or any topic you're curious about. And the first thing first, on the left-hand side, this is where a lot of the powerful structured data is available for you to use. I'll start by saying when you click the related category more button, you start to see different types of cups in the manufacturing universe, the 76,000 categories that I talk about. It's always good if you're new as an engineer in a new sector or buyer. This is for us to learn a lot about new types of materials, products that are available in the sector. The other thing that's quite interesting, and I'm going to actually zigzag into the PowerPoint slide I've prepared for you. Again, the link is in the presentation. You get a copy afterwards. Is the type of structured data we have available across the 500,000 suppliers. I'm going to slow down and talk you through each of these. We have a team of industrial librarians. They are a supplier content team, and they started classifying all of these suppliers since 1898. So you will get a sense from our structured data, and when I demo in a bit, that you can search suppliers by location near you or by the market they serve, and also the headquarters and shipping radiuses of these companies. Especially with COVID-19 for the last 2-3 years, we hear a lot of supply chain disruption. And if you want to optimize for nearshoring, this is a very useful tool. Secondly, there have been a lot of new companies emerging in the last few years, especially in developing sectors like robotic automation assembly, as well as PPE production locally. We have tremendous amount of firmographic data where you can look at a supplier and try to understand the size of the supplier by the revenue range. Are they a small company, moms and pop, or they are a huge supplier that generate $500 million or plus revenue? Why is this important to you? I think for buyers, sometimes if you have a big contract, sometimes they may not hear from small, tiny suppliers they write to because small suppliers may feel like they cannot fulfill your order size. Whereas, for example, if you're a small buyer, if you want to buy from a huge supplier, also sometimes you may not actually match with the right suppliers if you do not leverage our firmographic information. Obviously, and other quality cues that we have on our platform include years founded. Sometimes the longer the company has been around, they have more expertise, and also they have a legacy, and that you can trust them because of the sheer status that they have been established in the industry by the years they have been in. Employee counts, again, really important. If you have big production run, you just want to get a sense of how big the company is in being your manufacturing contract partner. And also expertise and capabilities. Remember the taxonomy firmographic list that I talk about? I'm going to show you when you look at a valve or bearing manufacturing, for example, you can see the types of bearings all within the company profile. And finally, qualifications really important. If you work in the defense sector, for example, ITAR is essential. And we have over 190 certification to help you pinpoint qualified suppliers within a few click and filter. So allow me to swing back into this demonstration. So I'm actually going to take a look at, for example, okay, shipper contact information, right? Like you're looking for logistic people from Medina. So I'm just gonna put in, for example, 3PL. I actually see a lot of activity lately. Third-party logistics suppliers, and on Thomas you have 1,140 of them. So using what I've just talked through today, as in, hey Kath, I would like to really kind of find people near me, and I'm going to use a New York State postcode as an example, where I can search within folks within 10 miles, 1,000 miles, click search, and immediately my supplier list went from 1,140 to 99. And if you say, okay, this is great, and I want to also find suppliers and support small businesses, there are a few things here. Number one, with logistics, it's slightly different, and I'm going to use fastener bearings hardware as an example after this. You actually can go through the quality certification, but also one thing that is quite useful is if you're looking for diversity, smaller company, any ownership with diversity statuses, say it 6 times, Kathy, like veteran-owned or women-owned, minority-owned businesses, you can also filter it here. Now, in addition, I just wanted to say, maybe you work in industrial manufacturing, and for folks on the call, if you're looking for new suppliers in bearings, valves, CNC manufacturing, drop in the chat. I'd love to hear from you. I'm going to use valves as an example, right? Because it's almost like a ubiquitous part of what we do in manufacturing. To really illustrate the firmographic information that I talked about at the beginning, you will see that every single card of our company profile that we classified contains important information, such as the type of manufacturers these companies are, the year the company was founded, the size of the company, sometimes by the number of employees, sometimes even estimated revenue figures if we have that in our platform. Now, a lot of times I would talk to, for example, design engineers in aerospace, and they say, Kathy, we have very strict criteria, and we want to find not just distributor, we want to find custom manufacturers that are ITAR certified, that can actually manufacture in the USA. With that in mind, there are a few filters you can use really quickly to get to that answer. Number one is, if you look at the company type, you can already see that we have manufacturers versus custom manufacturer, distributor, etc., etc. For your use case, if you're not ready to buy, you want to make your own, you can click custom manufacturer, and our search result will filter for you. Yes, okay, it's reloading. Sorry, a lot of interesting things happening to me today. Okay, just wait for 2 seconds. Yes, so Now it's filtered to 748 custom manufacturers. But remember, say you are actually looking for a specific vendor that can manufacture in the USA. So one thing that Thomas did really well during the pandemic is we understand the stress in supply chain, and we launched multiple filters that allow you to identify manufacturers that self-declare the capability when it comes to making products in the USA, or they comply with the current administration's Buy American Act. So once I apply that filter, you can see that I limit my available custom manufacturers to 75 suppliers. And for Ted, for example, here's another great case study. He's looking for a steel manufacturer and distributor. So let me pop in this example. So again, very simple. You can actually search and get about 2,000 suppliers. And let's say if Ted is based in New York State or Florida, you can punch in your postcode, limit your search result fairly quickly. Now say, okay, I found actually someone in Brooklyn or in Pennsylvania, one of the original state that's known for manufacturing. You can actually go over to the company CoPro view. We call it CoPro, stands for company profiles. For some of you, if you're manufacturers and you saw your page and say that there's incorrect information, by the way, I hear that question a lot. You can click this feedback tab and tell us, if there's any information on here that's not correct, and we'll sort it out for you. But back to this page. Now, when I talk about the capability of a company, you will see that we describe not just what this company overall can do. Based on the category you search for in steel, we actually customize a descriptor about how this company specifically can manufacture steel-related throughput for you. In addition, you may have like deeper kind of curiosity for your business needs in understanding exactly for Pennsylvania Steel Company what they're capable in doing within the universe of steel manufacturing and services or raw material supply. When you click through all products and services, this is a great way for you to browse all the capability. And sometimes, when you're shopping and browsing, it kind of inspires you to think about, actually, precisely, if I were Ted, I'm looking for something specific. I'm looking for carbon steel. At that point, when you click this page, we actually launch additional carbon steel related product catalog from this supplier. And you can really kind of, instead of searching in Google, looking for websites and have to understand how every website organizes information differently, we have the same information architecture and structure for all suppliers in our platform. So now here, the great thing is you literally can pick the steel grade and click a few of them. I'm jumping ahead here, but we just recently launched an Industrial Buying Engine with the ability for you to quote and buy and pre-fill what you need already, tell us the quantity, and we will send all the information directly to the suppliers for you that you've chosen in this brief, which is pretty amazing. And I'm very proud of our product team. They're here on the call. So let me know how you find this full catalog enablement, where you can find a supplier, look at the catalog, and actually quote and buy. Try it out, Ted. And Raymond also actually has something very specific. For example, he gave me a good example of steel ball bearings, even with the diameter and the tolerance and the amount on this list. So let me just jump in. Steel ball bearings, we have 124 suppliers. Let's pop over there. And within this list, Raymond, you're going to love this because your production run or your total SKU number is quite high, around 5 million. You actually can digitally visit the partners without leaving your bedroom or your office. So with COVID-19, we actually enable and launch factory tours where, with drone photography, people at Thomas on the ground, we verify that these manufacturers, number one, they exist. And you can see, the machining capability. We're literally taking you through with the founder, the door into their office, into their capability. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit. For example, if you're specific about the type of machining, CNC, tools that are used, you can even just kind of sit here and browse through within a few minutes what they're capable of. But back to Raymond's really good example. you're looking for steel ball bearings and you have specific tolerance and diameter, right? So I'm gonna do something that may not work, but I always love, being challenged. So if you're looking for a bearing of a certain size, and when you browse, you can see we already tease out all the brands, the suppliers and distributor, the brands that they carry. If this is not enough, you can actually scroll all the way to the bottom left, where you will start seeing a box called search within results. So I'm just going to punch in your number because it's such a unique number. I'm just going to click search here. So sadly, we don't have the exact size available within the descriptor of the company, but it doesn't mean that it's not available in our product catalog. So with this, I'm going to actually have a think, because we are at some point going to talk about the Thomas Concierge, where Raymond, you can actually fill in a form within 2 seconds, and our team will look for the right vendor for you. And we'll get to that in a few seconds. But let's say if I'm actually seeing folks with ball bearings and I want it to be made in the USA, this is the moment when I actually click the declaration. And it's kind of interesting that we jump from 134 suppliers down to only 20. And at this point, Raymond, this is kind of helpful. Like, you can open these distributors and manufacturers, and you can see that Motion is one of the biggest distributors in the industry. But for your example, if you're looking for specific custom-made ball bearings, you can also identify custom manufacturers here. So I pull out 2 examples for you, because with the American roller bearing manufacturer, at this point, as I said, I can actually click and open an example within the categories. So one thing that you talk about is steel. So I'm just actually popping over and searching on the page to see if I can get ball bearing with steel material. Right now that I'm here, so I'm clicking this link, and yes, so it actually takes you directly into the ball bearing product page. So as a user, we don't just link you to the supplier page, we deep link the supplier landing page on exactly what you're looking for. And at this point, you can actually go a bit deeper into looking at the online catalog. Yes, exactly. So I think Ted got excited because he said he could start making a list. So let me go through what we talk about, recap a little bit, because we went through a lot of information. And then we can talk about how you can actually start making a list with all the tools we've already built in. So in the last 15 minutes, I walk you through how you can use this simple search box as a registered user on Thomas completely for free. And within your search result, you get a very good overview about the company's location, firmographic information, and their qualifications. And I kind of walked you through detailed information at a glance in the search results. We even do some quick demonstration about steel ball bearings. Unfortunately for Raymond, we didn't get immediately, the kind of diameter related information, but I have another solution for you later. The other thing that you can do is to really kind of filter by origin declaration, where our team vetted hundreds and thousands of suppliers based on their self-declare capability in how they can make in the USA for the product that you're looking for. Also, don't forget, if you're in Alaska or Hawaii that had like relatively more difficult shipping requirements, you can actually look at, again, the location served filter and help you find the suppliers that serve your market easily. And finally, we do have something called supplier validation. So when you see the badges of the suppliers with the yellow star, the blue tick, or the Xometry X, it means that these are our supplier partner. Number one, we work with them. We understand their true capabilities, and many of them can take your design file and immediately turn around your project within a few business days. So they have that extra layer of experience and trust based on our experience in working with them. And secondly, if you're curious as a manufacturer yourself how to become validated and verified suppliers across our network, I'll leave my contact at the end, or you can drop a question in the chat as well, and we'll follow up with you. So more importantly, as I mentioned, I love using aerospace and defense as an example. If you work for the Department of Defense, or you work with one of the big kind of weapon manufacturers, you need to filter your suppliers by CMMC, which is a cybersecurity certification for IT, or even ITAR. So within Thomas, we may show you that there are 1,000 ball bearing manufacturers, but you can actually filter by just one click. and get to the suppliers you want. And this is an example where, ITAR registry users are only 119 for an example that I've made from before. In addition, I also show you, like for bigger companies or government buyers, you may have diversity spend goal. You can also filter suppliers based on their declared ownership and diversity in our platform. So finally, I'm going to show you a very cool tool. I call it the Easter egg of Thomas. So I'm going to actually borrow from Raymond's example again. And when you go to Thomas, a lot of times you bookmark thomasnet.com. I highly recommend that. When you go to the bottom of our page, you will see a lot of useful tools here. One of my favorite tools is diversity, especially if you work in a big procurement department and your manager may say, Kathy, I really want to understand, the USA made fastener market. And you don't actually have to go and, buy data, go to many, many organizations to create and collect and organize your data. You can actually pop over to Thomas, as I mentioned, scroll to the bottom of the footer and see the diverse supplier landing page and search what you're after by the category. Here immediately, this is almost like a great spreadsheet, isn't it? I'm sure on this call, many of you are like me, we love data. And within seconds, literally, I just put in, fastener, and you can see minority ownership by the count, SB, SDB, like small and disadvantaged businesses, etc. and etc. But also, like in your industry, if you're looking for some very unique licenses or popular certification like ISO, everything is right here, like in front of you. And finally, I know a lot of you are interested in sourcing for US manufacturers, and we can see the miscellaneous licenses. So you can even see, Buy American Act, made in the USA, or even lean manufacturing, self-declare manufacturers, all within one page. I know that is pretty cool. Yes, and I am going to swing back to the deck so you can follow along. So to recap, I spent about 25 minutes sharing with you all the secret search features on Thomas. And now we're going to talk about the part 2 of this presentation, search, evaluate, and then we'll talk about buy and connect in a bit. So once you have all the structured data, I think one of you mentioned how much you love creating lists, and I almost feel like I met a lost soul brother or sister. Lists are very powerful, right? So let's talk about the structured data, and then I'm going to walk you through how to create lists on Thomas. So on every single company profile page of our suppliers, you will see, a table about who they are. You can click through to the home pages, and the category that you literally just sourced that resulted in the profile will change and show you bolts if you search for bolts. Understand, what are the capabilities, link to the social media, but also the statuses of these companies and the certification that they qualified for. In addition, when I mention annual sales, you can see the data also within this. So for big buyers, you may want to find companies that can do bigger orders based on, total sales, etc., etc. I'll talk about 4 really important visual cues for you. They are the key in understanding these links under quality certifications. So when you see this link, it means that when you click the link, you can actually download the certification directly without going through other people's website, filling in forms, all those complicated things. You don't have to do it yourself. If you see this exit button, it means that our supplier expert team had deep link where the suppliers declare that they have the certification or capability for you. And if you see the big star, usually we link to government agencies and tell you, okay, they are self-declared a small business or minority-owned business, but we actually link to the SBA company page in the government agency website, so you can see when things are expired or not by their statuses. And finally, you rarely see that. We try not to use self-reported information, but when we do, you see complete transparency. So let me actually show you what I mean when you navigate Thomas in seeing all of that. So using Raymond's example, I'm going to pop over to American Ball Bearing. And when I look at this company's profile, a while ago we talked about, the business information and the product and services they offer. The screen grab I showed you came from the business details part of this presentation. Right here, I see the certificate button, the little logo. It means that when I click it, I actually can read the original copy, digitalized, of this company, of the ISO 9001. And you can see when it was issued and when it's valid until. So again, it saves you 25 phone calls and getting all the information. It's all organized here for you. And where do we see this person, this company at American Roll Bearing, that they are made in the USA? Is on their website. So here you can actually get a sense of, you know, their capability, and they have like a logo made in the USA for you. We always think that we would do our best to serve you the information, but we still really encourage buyers to double verify, and I know you will too. Now, in addition, we talk about all the structured data, they're all here, but I also want to show you one last very powerful data tool that you can use, which is the request report feature. Our joke is when you click the request report, we take you to the supplier summary reports. Within 30 minutes, usually actually minutes, we generate a full report about this manufacturer that you can use to share with your internal procurement team and your engineering team that will make you look like you spent 5 days working on this project. Why? So let me show you like a baking show. I've already created a summary report of a manufacturer on Thomas. So this is BDI based in Cleveland. And you can see that, first of all, this report is 26 pages. And all the information that I already shared with you are collected and presented in this PDF report with your name on it and when it's generated. Within the report, you can see the company details, like how big it is, registration, diversity, ownership, and the whole taxonomy that I talk about 16 times already. I'm a nerd, I love library science, but you can see how they're classified under Thomas industrial knowledge base. Now, but more importantly, and I love this part, is, you know, when you get to the company and the certificates of what they're capable of, it's all embedded here. Like, you don't have to click 26 links and remember what Kathy taught you today. If you don't remember anything, just remember you search on Thomas, find a vendor you want, click the report download button, and you can export the whole report and stack it against your supply discovery content folder. Everything is here for you. Now I hear what you say, right? Like, it's like I'm channeling my inner Ted or, you know, Raymond. PDFs are great, but CSV, you know, like Excel sheets, even better, because I love being able to manipulate, sort, and organize my supplier profile. And to which I say, you're in luck. Wow, that's so cheesy. I can't believe I said that. So let me actually pop back and use the ball bearing example. So let's say I am channeling my inner Raymond and I found some really great steel ball bearings. I'm going to pop in here and do the additional filter, like I said, steel. So now I have a list of 175 suppliers, and I want the USA only suppliers, so drop it down to 20. At this point, you've been to the webinar, we are browsing together, finding the supplier with the right capability, with the right certification. And I kind of really like American Ball Bearing or Motion Industry. At this point, you can actually select up to 5 suppliers at a time. A list of suppliers that you think, okay, I actually want to talk to these suppliers. And there are 2 things you can do. I'm going to start with a simple one. So I have 3 companies on my list, and I actually want to compare these companies. So I'm going to repeat what I just did. I click the select button, and you see the bottom information bar, and I click the compare button right here. So for the information heavy folks here, at this point, you actually see all the information presented in one interface in table format. Here you can copy and paste it however you want into any data structure you like. But I have something even better for you. Going back to what I had before, I can actually add the selected suppliers. Remember, 5 at a time, because we do have people who exploit this free service. But 5 at a time, I can add it to my special ball bearing research project. And you can name these shortlist however you want. Sometimes I put the date in there, just, you know, like I'm getting older. It's easy to remember what I'm working on. And once you've done that, you can view the shortlist button. Now I'm actually right here and I have a bunch of like really great projects. And for the double roll ball bearing project, I now have 6 suppliers, and all I need to do is to click the download button. This is my favorite part. When you click it, we actually give you all the data for free. You can add up to 5 suppliers at a time. And why is my Excel so slow today? Right. So it's not Thomas being slow, it's my Excel. So, and you can see that I exported these companies, and all the structured data is at your fingertips in Excel readable format. So if you want to import, export this into your procurement system or ERP, feel free. And I have yet find a limit as to how many suppliers I can add in the list. At a time, you can add 5, picking 5 and then add to the shortlist. But there's no limit as to, in total, how many suppliers you can add to a shortlist. So sometimes I know suppliers that and buyers that can actually build up to 20, 30 possible buyers, and then they grab the download file, and then they can append additional internal notes for internal collaboration. Often I get asked, hey, Kath, do your suppliers export internationally? You also get additional export market information in this data format as well. Now, okay, so we answered Ted's question, how do we create a list? I'm going to walk you through one more time because there's a lot of information. You basically pop to supplier discovery using Tom's search is on every single page. You can find anything. For example, steel is an example that we used today. Apply all the filters we talked about today. Then the next thing you can do is to really select the suppliers that you think can deliver what you want. Start adding that into your shortlist. And once you added them to your shortlist, at any point in your selection journey, you can pop over to your user account and you can go back to your full list or shortlist under your Thomas account right here and then, right? Now, we covered 2 things, how to search and how to evaluate on Thomas. And let me recap the few things we talk about within part 2 of this presentation. We talk about the structured data and all the icons, what they mean, the power of all the in-depth information, the fact that you can select multiple suppliers for comparison, grab the table, browse them. Again, you can add these to your project, but also ask these suppliers to quote and give you the price point that you're interested in. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. Add these suppliers to shortlist and download, export, build your list over time. And over time, access your shortlist if you need to. I have a caveat though. Some of our buyers, they might work for one company and they have one company's email address. And right now at Thomas, we don't allow you to transfer, your work email from one account to another account. So when you move on to a new company, you may have to re-register and rebuild your shortlist in the future. That's something that our product teams have been looking at. And as I demonstrate, you can export your shortlist into CSV file and you can import it, manipulate it however you want. The third part of this presentation is how you can connect by requesting quotes and information and actually transact directly through Thomas. But before we jump in, I just want to, this is a special slide for Raymond, because sometimes, like Raymond, he gave us a really good use case. If you're looking for 5 million ball bearings of a special tolerance, a special, a composite metal, for example, and it's not something that you can easily get off the shelf, I encourage you to pop over to this URL. And Brittany, can you copy and paste this URL into the chat for me while I'm talking? So it'd be great if you can fill in this form. Literally takes you 1 minute. And we have recently put together the Thomas Concierge team, powered by over a century of industrial sourcing and organizational experience to help you find the buyers you want. You can upload your, if it's a NDA that you want us to sign or get the supplier to sign, you can upload it into this form, or you can send us any spec sheet, CAT file, BIM file. We can have you do all of that. So try it out. It's completely free. And you may ask, hey, Thomas, why are you doing everything free for us? Well, a big part is we've been powering US manufacturing and Canadian manufacturing for 124 years. We have a mission in building jobs and equity and opportunity for all people. When we help you source and get your job done faster, you know what's going to happen? Manufacturing has one of the highest economic multiplier. You get your job done, you build great things for the world, and more people get hired and everyone's happy. So feel free to leverage us and don't be shy. Now, the other thing you can do apart from using concierge and upload your brief is once you find a supplier and land it on a company profile, you will see a lot of options. First of all, you can message a supplier, ask them questions, clarify anything you need, or you can also initiate conversation by adding multiple suppliers into your messaging tool, and they have the option to respond to you or not. But also, if there are other people getting in touch with you as a buyer, if you have a profile on thomasnet.com, you have complete control over whether or not you accept a conversation, or you can report even conversation as spam. So if you're familiar with LinkedIn messaging, this is very similar. The next thing you can do also is in the search result, you can actually start putting together a project type and fill in the whole project and add suppliers. We will contact the suppliers on your behalf so that they can come in and quote your parts for you. As I mentioned earlier, why would you do that through Xometry and Thomas? A big part of it is our network has over 11,000 manufacturers, and we've tested them, we use them, we ask them to do parts for us. And in addition, if you actually transact through our billing system, there are two big benefits. Number one, you get a 21-day from the delivery day assurance. So if you bought something you're not happy with, you can leverage our team of procurement and manufacturing partnership experts and help you resolve any issues you need. The second thing that's really important is we actually work a lot very closely with these manufacturers. And when you have one line of credit with Xometry, which means that you download a PDF form, you kind of work with our finance, and we become a vendor into your company system, you immediately have access to over 10,000 manufacturers across all the taxonomy you look at, instead of individually having to onboard all the different vendors. Can you imagine the number of days you save for your procurement team and your supply chain team instead of individually onboarding your buying briefs as an engineer, for example? One vendor with Xometry, access to 10,000 plus suppliers. So if you're interested in this, let me know again. We can follow up and send you the procurement onboarding form. Now, finally, we are the champion of US small business and Canadian small businesses. We actually are very proud to have launched a partnership with Credit Key, where if you look at the link below, and Brittany, if you can also copy this link and drop it into chat, that would be great. So what is this link? If you're a small business that qualifies for Credit Key pre-approval, you actually can get up to a $50,000 credit line and pay 0% interest for 30 days. We don't make money from this. We put together this partnership because we understand that more and more so, a lot of vendors and buyers have very kind of difficult payment terms. 30, 60s, we heard that, sometimes even up to 120. So if a smaller business, we want to power your cash flow by enabling you to sign up through Thomas Credit Key. So when you buy through Thomas, you get up to 30 days of interest-free payment. And also they have terms for up to 12 months of repayment with very low interest rate. So do check that out as well. Now, like I said, one line of credit, you can access thousands of top USA and Canadian suppliers, but also Xometry has international custom manufacturing network across over 5,000 manufacturers. So we can literally do anything for you with one company, one relationship. But what if you need something more, right? We talk about you may actually have a very special kind of SKU-based part orders that Raymond shared, and you can use the Thomas Concierge form. But what if you need something more, as in you're trying to source a part that you've never done before, to which I'm going to do a really quick demonstration with Xometry Instant Quote Engine. This is one of the coolest things I've seen in the industry, and I've been in the industry for a while now. So sorry, this is not correct. For Xometry, when you look at manufacturing on demand, what we mean by that is any designer, if you have a CAD file or you're procurement and you want to actually double check if your engineers are designing things in a way that are most optimal for production, you can drag any file into Xometry. Let me just put in my email address, we may ask you just for some information. So I'm just going to put in a test phone number quickly. And oh, actually, I have an account. Sorry. Yes. Sign in. Great. So I uploaded my part really quickly. And let's count together and see how many seconds it takes for me to get my result. I think that was actually under 10 seconds. So this is unheard of. Within seconds, usually under minutes, I get amazing results where I can choose to make the part by Xometry's network of experts, either with standard shipping, the price is about $370, to a point of cent-based precision, 85 cents, or I can get it expedited within 4 business days. And even more interestingly, if you're a design engineer or even you're in procurement and you wonder if the engineering team, they're doing a job that could be optimized, you get real-time DFM, design feedback, on your product. So right here, you can see that we actually did 9 DFM checks for you, and actually using our machine learning and factory physics expertise, we can tell you what is wrong with the design. Like you can see that this part, for example, has 11 sharp internal corners that will need redowel in order to be machinable, right? And it actually recommends how you can fix the kind of geometry of your design to lower the cost of production, or just to kind of really prevent issues with production run. In addition, again, if you are, I think a few of you actually talk about being a designer or prototype person, turning your idea into reality. We don't stop here. There's a really cool feature in Xometry's Incident Code Engine. You can click the Modify Part button. It will take you to this interface. And whenever you actually think about, okay, this is a CNC and it takes me this much to make one product, but actually this is a production run and you want to put in 5,000, you can put in a number of order you have, click Save Property, and it will requote for you. So when this happens, you can actually pop over and fill in the menu quote, and you can also go in and request a menu quote by clicking this button. Now, one thing that I want to show you in addition to this is, you may say, Kath, I actually only want one part, but I don't need CNC machining because this is a prototype. And I want actually to try additive manufacturing using very common methods, such as HP multi-jet fusion product. And you can use nylon, you can use metal printing. I'm just going to pick a very common material for prototyping, such as nylon. When I save property, you will immediately see that your prototype went from $350,000 using CNC to $42. So that is really helpful for people who are prototyping their product. Now, if you have any question about how Xometry works, let me know. And now I have another really good question from Kellen. So Kellen actually has a different use case. Kellen is not looking for making custom parts and materials. You're looking into the nutritional market. We have a lot of buyers actually that come from food manufacturing, nutraceutical, white label, beauty product manufacturing. I actually think someone else talked about this earlier today. See, if you're looking for white label solution, I'll start by looking for kind of broad level search. And you will see that there are a lot of supplements manufacturers in our database. And through the taxonomy, you see different types of supplements as well. At this point, I'm going to show you a very useful tool. I'm going to click search here, and you can see vitamin suppliers. So we map your request with the kind of epistemological object that maps closest to what we think you're asking, like knowledge notes. But here you can actually, like I said, the best part about Thomas is our librarian knowledge. You can click the more button, and at this point you can actually see the classification of all manufacturers. You can browse, you can see how we classified these suppliers, and continue to look for what you need. So if you're looking for nutritional supplements, I think there are so many angles you're looking for. For example, are you thinking about making your own? Are you looking for tier 2 suppliers, first, tier 1 with the raw material for flavorings, or you look for someone who can actually package, deliver, and label, manufacture all the way to customer shelf for you. So I would encourage Kellen, you to kind of pop over, really look at the related categories, click around, then you can do the 3 things I talk about: search, evaluate, connect, and even submit your project to get a quote and buy today. Now, I just want to reinforce, since I have this great question from Kellen here about the new capability that we have, right? When you look at vitamin E suppliers, and I'm going to look at Supplier supplement manufacturing as a company, you can actually look at their capabilities. And here you can browse deeper into what they have. And when you look at, if you're specifically interested in liquid supplements, contract manufacturing, don't forget, you can click the quote and buy button, and we will launch what you've already selected and save you 3 steps ahead of time so that you can submit the project to the suppliers quickly today. So yes, I think, Medina, we can follow up with you on the shipping information as well, the shipper information as well. So now we have only a few minutes left. Please keep asking questions. You guys have been great. This presentation is always better when we are collaborating at the same time. So I'm going to swing back to wrap up the presentation and give you guys the final summary bits of what we talk about. So our core feature summary. About an hour ago, we talked about how we can search, understand the structured data across the company profiles, search, filter, saving you 5,000 clicks from Google, for example. It usually takes you 5 clicks to get to the criteria you need. Compare your suppliers, you can check multiple boxes, and then we give you the whole table. Or you can add the suppliers, shortlist, and export all the data into a CVS file, CSV. I think American pharmaceutical brand naming really ruined my understanding of data file structure. That's a sidebar. And then you can also create one brief and get multiple quotes from all the vendors that you send your projects to. And also don't forget, you can create one line of credit with our billing department, and you can buy from thousands of suppliers, and you don't have to onboard vendor again, really, with our network. And finally, if you have custom parts, design files, don't forget to pop over to Xometry.com. I'll part with 5 useful resources, and you'll get a stack. Don't worry about frantically taking notes right now. We have a really powerful ebook that talk about all the features, written step-by-step guide with video instructions on the 3 sourcing processes that we talk about. We also have Thomas technical guides. If you pop over to thomasnet.com articles for the manufacturers, we do a lot of long-form articles about, for example, how electric vehicles batteries are made, guides on top suppliers that you can trust and verify and work with, etc., etc. Number 3, this is actually the most important thing. Don't forget to sign up to thomasnet.com industry update, where in your inbox every morning at 4 a.m. locally, you get the most important industry insights in your market. And I have a gift for you as well. For those of you who are doing injection molding ordering and you want to just have like an easy way to remember the finishing and the texture of injection molding, feel free to, Brittany and I will share the link with you guys. You can fill in a quick form and we'll send a gift to you on your desktop. You can keep an injection molding cart. And finally, we have a great ebook about 3D printing through our colleagues at Xometry, and all those links are included in this deck. And this is really the end of the presentation. Feel free to connect with me. You have my email, cma@thomasnet.com, or Brittany on the call. Connect with me on LinkedIn. When you quit this webinar, I do say there is a form asking you within 30 seconds if you find this webinar useful today. Give me any feedback, good or bad. I appreciate that so that I can keep on improving the content. But more importantly, if there are questions that we didn't cover today, ask the question in the forum. I have like a big kind of box for you to just say anything like feedback or questions. And thank you for your time today.